What's up, boxing world? You're now rocking with the best. This is Raw Boxing Magic, and we're back with another video. So on my last video, Keith Thurman beats Tszyu. Y'all guys showed a lot of love, and I want to thank everybody who subscribed, everybody who commented, and everybody who watched the video. But today, we're going to dive in to Tszyu's keys to victory versus Keith one-time Thurman and what he needs to do in order to pull out a victory on March 30th. Let's talk about it. The first key to victory for Tszyu, he must cut off the ring. If he does not cut off the ring versus Keith Thurman, he's in trouble because Keith Thurman can move whenever he wants. And if Tszyu is not able to cut that distance and get to his opponent, he's in for a long night. He must cut the ring off efficiently, trapping Keith Thurman with effective feints and creative ability. He must be creative when cutting off the ring. You just can't cut off the ring and not do anything. That jab must be pumping and that jab must be effective. And you must get creative with your feints and showing him different looks and changing levels. Because Keith Thurman is very crafty when it comes to movement, when it comes to ring generalship. You have to pin him down in a way that is unorthodox. So, in a nutshell, Tszyu has to do what he has never done before. And the second key to victory for Tszyu is to impose his size. Use that long jab that he has, but stick that jab and not just use it to set up the right hand. And also in the clinch, grab Keith Thurman, impose your will, show your strength, try to manhandle him to get in his head. You must impose your size and your will upon Keith Thurman in his fight, but use calculated aggression. Don't just jump in. Always work behind that stick, behind that jab, because the moment that you take one or two, maybe even three steps forward without throwing a jab, Keith Thurman will make you pay. And the third key to victory for Tszyu is this. Try to get that good left hook to the body that you throw in between punches. It's not too many times that Keith Thurman is going to let you pin him against the ropes. So you're going to have to catch him in between punches. And you have to close that distance, as I said, with the jab. And you have to close that distance by cutting off the ring effectively. And all this is to lead Tszyu into creating a knockdown, a stoppage, or knockout, because it will be extremely hard to beat Keith Thurman on points, round by round. If I can keep it real for a minute. Can I keep it real for a minute? Somebody come look at this. Come look at this. The only way that Tszyu can beat Keith one-time Thurman is by knocking him out, as I said before. And the only way that Tszyu knocks out Keith Thurman is if all the narratives and all the spins out there in the media is true. If it is true that Keith Thurman is over the hill, he loses to Tszyu. If it's true that his inactivity has too much ring rust on his body, then he will lose to Tszyu. If it is true that Keith Thurman is weak and docile to the body and is susceptible to a stoppage to the body, then Tszyu will beat Keith Thurman. If it is true, all of the narratives, all of the spin, everything that is said about Keith Thurman, one time, once upon a time, he's over the hill, too long of a layoff, he doesn't have the power anymore, he's not one time anymore. If all this is true, that's the only way that Tszyu beats Keith Thurman. Now I'm going to play some clips from Keith Thurman. I'm going to play some clips from Tszyu. This is going to be kind of a precursor for an analyst breakdown of their fights. Because, I like to come with receipts. Yeah. I don't like to just go in there ass first. I like to go in here with mindful thinking. Because, again, there's a lot of disrespect going on. And the disrespect is Keith Thurman being an 8-1 underdog. Now, Tszyu, he is a solid fighter. He's a solid guy. He has a solid mentality. He's tough. He's rugged. Australia fighters have always been tough, has always been rugged. What they show is something called heart. And I believe Tszyu has that, and he's going to need it come fight night, March 30th, against Keith one-time Thurman. But I'm not doubting the heart of Tszyu. I'm doubting the skill, but I also recognize that he has some of the tools to get the job done. So you can't count Tszyu out. So Tszyu has a good chance of winning this fight, especially if the narrative that is spent is true. By now, y'all should know my temperature. I don't do no faking or no fraud. That ain't my texture. Tune in to part 2 of this. We coming back to back. Part 2, we talking about the weaknesses and strengths of Tszyu and the weaknesses and strengths of Keith one-time Thurman. But this is Raw Boxing Magic. We out. So you know what?